So, what a week for the Oklahoma Sooners. On top of getting several recruiting wins, Oklahoma is also set to play Texas Tech this weekend in a game that personally I think is going to be a ton of fun to watch. Today, we need to break down both of these areas. We need to talk about the recruiting wins Oklahoma got, including the newest addition to their class, grad transfer Jacob Lacey, but we also need to turn our attention to the Texas Tech game and talk about an area I think Oklahoma could really look to take advantage of. Before we do, though, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Jacob Lacey chose the Oklahoma Sooners? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below because those interactions are truly massive to content creators such as myself and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And I want to start with recruiting, and more specifically, I'd like to start with Jacob Lacey, the grad transfer from Notre Dame, making his decision to go to the Oklahoma Sooners. And for those of you curious as to how Jacob Lacey is able to make this decision, even though the transfer portal hasn't officially opened yet, it's because he's a grad transfer and he's able to move with more fluidity than those that have not yet graduated. This is a great addition for the Oklahoma Sooners. Jacob Lacey was a 4-star coming out of high school. He's someone who's seen experience. He has 35 career tackles and 2.5 sacks, 2 of those sacks coming this year in one game against Cal. This is a guy that Oklahoma, Brent Venables, Todd Bates really like to get in because he's depth on that defensive line. And that's an area Oklahoma's really looking to double down in this recruiting class. I'm intrigued to see what moves OU's going to make to finish out their recruiting class, but also what moves they could make in the transfer portal to address some of their needs. This right here shows me that Brent Venables has a need in mind. He's going to be aggressive in trying to fix it. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, you've got to like the aggression. You've got to love the aggression. And in fairness, he showed us that he was going to be aggressive last year with the way he came in, took over that recruiting class, and navigated the transfer portal. He showed that if he sees an area that needs some help, he's going to go get it the help. But we also need to talk about some of the other additions Oklahoma got, because this week, OU has got in 4 recruiting wins, including Jacob Lacey. On top of Jacob Lacey, you have Sanford, you have Wine, and then you have the JUCO cornerback Kendall Dolby, who I really like. Guys, this has been a big week for the Oklahoma Sooners. Brent Venables and this staff, they've been able to recruit at a really high level, and I cannot wait to see how they end out this class. But now we need to turn our attention from recruiting to the game this weekend in which Oklahoma is taking on Texas Tech. And I'd really like to start with Texas Tech's offense against Oklahoma's defense, because last week, Oklahoma's defense showed up strong with all of the turnovers they were able to generate. And in the intro, I said there was an area I thought Oklahoma could really look to take advantage of. And guys, that's just it. Turnovers. Because when I watch this Texas Tech team play, especially their passing offense, they're turning the ball over at a pretty consistent rate. And in fact, if we look at their passing touchdown to interception ratio, for every 3 touchdowns they're throwing 2 interceptions. Whenever we watch what Oklahoma just did, and really, whenever we look at Oklahoma this year, because the turnovers are not something relegated to just the Oklahoma State game, though we saw them in a very healthy dosage in the Oklahoma State game. So if they're able to generate turnovers against Texas Tech, who have had a problem throwing interceptions, you've got to like Oklahoma's chances. But it really doubles us back to the Oklahoma offense, because OU's defense showed up big last week. And even though Oklahoma's offense showed up, it was really only for the first quarter. And if you're an Oklahoma fan, I think the thing you want to see more than anything is 4 quarters of consistent offensive football. Your defense has started to come alive. You know that they're still growing on that defense, but you've seen some growth, and it leaves you excited for what the future holds. Offensively, it's been up and down all year. There have been games early in the year where it looked like the Oklahoma offense was clicking. There's been games where it looked like nothing was going right. And then there was the game last week where for the first quarter, nothing could have gone wrong until the first quarter ended, and then Oklahoma's offense kind of sputtered. So for the Sooners offense, you've got to put together consistent drives. And this is something I've been begging for from OU since before the Nebraska game. This was a problem I identified before the Nebraska game and have been wanting to see more consistent, drawn out, thoughtful drives from Oklahoma. drag some time off that clock. We know you have the capability to score in an instant. We've seen you do it too many times. Unfortunately, whenever that's your offensive game plan, a lot of the times it means you're off the field in an instant without a score, and your defense is right back on the field. And for Texas Tech, I don't want to give any team, including Texas Tech, any more opportunities to take advantage of me not being able to generate points on offense than I need to give them. And like I said, I think the X factor in this game is if Oklahoma's defense can generate turnovers. Because Texas Tech, they've had a bit of an interception problem. Remember, like I said, for every 3 touchdowns they're throwing, 2 interceptions are thrown. If you're Oklahoma's defense, you've got to love those odds. But it's up to Oklahoma's offense to put something together consistently. So if you're the Oklahoma Sooners, what a week you've had. Tons of recruiting wins, Thanksgiving, and you get to play Texas Tech this weekend. I'd be very excited, but I'm really interested in hearing from all of you. I think this game against Texas Tech is going to be a really close matchup, but at the end of the day, if Oklahoma's defense is able to generate the turnovers, you gotta like their chance of walking out of that game victorious. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about all this. That's it. See ya.